Alrighty, it's 9:30. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Sure.
Excellent. Then let's get started. So, good morning, everybody. My name's David Ramsey. I'm a SOC analyst with WAPAC Labs, and for today's weekly threat brief, we're going to talk about some information that we've gotten from open source data as well as our own WAPAC Labs collections over the last week. Alrighty, so for the agenda today, we're going to talk about some of the recent reporting we've done with some vessel impersonation trending and some Swift themed malware trending with the LokiBot domination, as well as, again, some open source and social media data, 7 days of trending, and keylogger activity. All right, so for vessel impersonation. So WAPAC Labs reports on the use of vessel names as lures in malicious emails, using the names of motor vessels, MV, or merchant or motor tankers, MT, in the subject line is a social engineering tactic that's used by attackers when they're sending malicious emails to companies related to the shipping industry. So successful infiltrations into transportation-related networks can result in the theft of valuable financial information or corrupt a system with damaging results. And this report that in more detail you can find in the Finished Reporting Slack channel details about vessel impersonations and trending information. Some of the first ones that you can kind of see on the slide here. Most of the hits are in the UK, the US, Germany, China, and Singapore, which are all top 10 really big shipping locations. All right, so next up is the Swift theme malware trending, the LokiBot domination. So hackers are using Swift monetary transfer, quote unquote, themed files, that's what they're calling them, to lure users into opening them. These files have been identified as malicious. WAPAC Labs studied a sample group of these Swift themed malicious files during a 30-day period between February and March this year. And nearly half of them are classified as LokiBot, with upwards of 12% were detected exploiting CVE 2017-11882, which is known as Microsoft Office Memory Corruption Vulnerability. Most of the samples were submitted from either Ukraine, Czech Republic, or the US, and in several cases, the malware samples were attached to emails that also use social engineering referencing HSBC bank transfers. Several malicious domains and IPs were also detected being used as command and control points, and these were also being used to download some next stage malware on top of just the malicious message itself. And we have already, as you can see, sinkholed 2 domains detected for the LokiBot samples. Alrighty, so in some more open source cyber news over the last 7 days, we've seen a change in the threat actors from last week. Last week we had Fin7 up at the very top. Now we've got the Lazarus Group, who's number 1, followed by APT32, Ocean Lotus in second place, and then Injector Team, followed by Hezbollah and the Liberation of Palestine following them. So the Lazarus Group is a North Korean APT group that has been attributed to the 2014 Sony hack after the interview was being produced. More recently, they have used KillDisk, a disk wiping tool, in an attack against online casino based in Central America, as well as some ATM scams to try and steal money out of ATMs. Hezbollah is a militant group based out of Lebanon, and we've seen them in the top 5 for a few weeks now. It's been pretty consistent. Ocean Lotus is believed to be Vietnam-based APT, and they generally target the private sector, foreign governments, and dissidents with a strong focus in the Southeast Asia area. Our targeted industries for this week are IT, retail, e-commerce, software, and internet, which is a lot of overlap, but with somewhat different names from last week where they were talking about like finance, commerce, as opposed to retail and e-commerce. And then for malware this week, we have the Update RE malware, again, up from the number 5 spot last week into the number 1 spot. So upon installation, it downloads and executes additional malware on the affected system. Some of the downloaded malware that does is Zeus, Krylock, and Dryzia, and Rovnix. The Dark IRC Trojan, again, from last week, still up there, uses an internet relay chat. The IRC connection serves as a backdoor, allowing an attacker to perform a variety of actions on the compromised computer. WannaCry has made a bit of a comeback up into the top 5, as you can see this week. All right, so some more open source and social media stuff we can see. LockerGoga developers are supposedly adding in new capabilities to the malware, allowing them to add in some wiping capabilities, and it's being developed further on top of. So after the Norsk Hydro attack of the last couple weeks, they're refining the malware and trying to make it even more devastating than it already was. Another new one is hackers implanting malware into cloud computers that they'll rent. So they can rent the cloud computer, implant the malware, let the rental expire, and then someone else will then start renting cloud space using those compromised computers. and then hackers stealing $19 million out of the cryptocurrency exchange BitThumb. All right, so in the last 7 days, Wildpack Labs has recorded approximately 930,000 new indicators. So these collections include our threat recon, keylogger, malicious emails, and our sinkhole traffic. And you can kind of see the numbers up there on the slide. The new indicators are available to paid Red Sky members weekly, as well as our blacklists, which come in CSV, Fortisem, and Proofpoint formats. And you can get a lot of the blacklists out of the Slack channel. These are our new APT and botnet indicators collected from last week. We had 218 unique APT indicators in the past 7 days. It's slightly down 31 indicators from last week. And you can use your two-factor authentication to log into CTAC to download the APT indicators that you can kind of see up there. Skypot and Maudi APT continuing to be at the top of our list here, whereas WECB, Mirage, and the DNS Calc coming into the top 5 here where they weren't last week. So botnet activity over the last 7 days has been fairly consistent with the prior trending we've seen. 31 Jin Rong Street is still by far the biggest leader, but the second and third places have kind of pulled a switcheroo here. We've got the AS4837 China Unicom, China 16, which is a Chinese internet backbone, has moved up into second, and then down into third from second place last week is the National Internet Backbone for India. And the open source data that you can kind of see there correlates fairly strongly with our proprietary Wildpack Labs data. So for our cloud security, we still kind of see the same kind of culprits that we've been seeing usually in our top spots. We've got Peak 10, Microsoft, Amazon. Those guys are really up at the top there. Then GoDaddy, Alibaba, and Rackspace have actually seen a decrease in activity over the last week, so they've moved down into the caution risk as opposed to the high risk environment. And then, of course, our blacklists, like I've mentioned before, are published weekly. On the right-hand side, you can see some of our keylogger stats that have just recently come out. In the last week, we've observed 45,870 new connections from unique IP addresses to our sinkhole domains. Free Red Sky Alliance members receive our tier line products. The paid Red Sky Alliance members receive our complete blacklists and the API access. And for members that are not set up to ingest intelligence, Trusted Internet is the managed security service provider that we are partnered with, and we use Fortinet and Proofpoint products to push intel and defend customer networks. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, or feedback. And I just want to say thank you, everybody, for stopping by for this week's weekly threat brief.